Hello, everyone. I'm your teacher, Connor, and today I will share the best tips to learn English. 1. How to remember words. At the beginning of the lesson, one student said, "I started to read more. I feel that it is good for me. I can see how my grammar is better, but I have a problem. When I read, I look up a new word in the dictionary, then I continue reading. Sometimes when I see the same word again only 10 minutes later, I don't remember the word and I have to look it up again. Can you help me remember the words better?" Our teacher says that it is an interesting question and gives this explanation. It is absolutely normal that you don't remember the new word immediately. Usually you'll have to look up the word 5 times before you remember it. There will also be words that you will have to look up 10 or 15 times. These words are usually verbs. When we learn a new word, the word goes through phases. Only when you achieve the last phase do you remember the word very well. There are 5 of these phases. Let's have a look at them. The 5 phases of learning a new word. 1. The first phase is the moment when you see the word for the first time and you don't know the word. You look it up in the dictionary. 2. The second phase is the moment when you see the word that you have already looked up in the dictionary or heard or saw it in the past. You know that you saw this word before, but you still don't remember its meaning. You look up the word again. 3. The third phase is the moment when you see the word again and you feel what it could mean, but you're not sure. For example, you know that the word is some kind of object, some animal, or a verb. 4. The fourth phase is the moment when you already know what the word means when you see it, but you are not able to recall the word when you want to say it. When this phase happens, the word is in your passive vocabulary. 5. The fifth phase is the moment when you are able to use the word when you speak. Now you can see there are 5 phases altogether. Do you understand now why it is not possible to remember a new word when you see it for the first time? You would have to jump across all the phases with the first encounter with the word. You have to see or hear every word several times and let it go through all the phases until you get to phase number 5. You can be happy not only when you learn a new word perfectly, but also when you get from one phase to the other. When it happens, you are closer to the final goal, and it is to use the word without problems in everyday communication. All of this is interesting to me. I didn't know about these phases, but it is all logical. It also happened to me that I looked up a new word in the dictionary, but 2 minutes later I didn't know what the word was, and I had to look it up again. I felt stupid that I didn't remember the word. Now I know that it is absolutely okay not to remember the word forever when I see it for the first time. I need several encounters with the word before I can use the word well. After school, I go to my football training. Our coach tells us that there will be a match on Saturday. The school team will play against another school team from Cambridge. Our coach tells me to come and play for the school team. I am very happy, and I am looking forward to the Saturday match. When you want to remember a new word, you need to see or hear the word about 10 times. 2. How to improve listening. The next day, I go to school again. One of the students has an important question. He wants to know how to improve his listening skills. He wants to know what the best approach is. Our teacher says, "Thank you for your question. Good listening skills are very important for communication. If you don't understand what people are saying, it will be difficult for you to speak with them. There are a lot of materials on the internet for students of English. Some students can have a problem with finding the right listening materials for them. Let's have a look at what you should listen to." 2 types of listening materials. 1. Audio recordings. You should know 95% of the words or more. If the audio has a lot of new words, read the text first if possible and make sure you know all the words. When you practice listening, you practice getting information from a spoken language. You don't try to learn new words, though sometimes you may learn some. Use materials at your level, like simplified English books with audio recordings. Recommended books: Robinson Crusoe and The Little Prince in Simple English, available at www.robinsoncrusoe.com and www.thelittleprince.com. You can also visit www.newsinenglish.com for leveled news content. 2. Films and videos. Suitable when you know over 2,000 words. First watch with subtitles, then without. Rewatch favorite films to improve comprehension. Watch documentaries or reality shows about topics you enjoy. It is necessary to have at least 30 minutes a day of listening. The more you listen, the faster you will understand more words. When listening, always focus on what you already understand, even if it's just 10% at first. It's easy to get discouraged by what you don't understand yet. Be happy for every new sentence you grasp. Listening is the easiest way to learn. You don't have to do anything. You just listen. Did this information help you? Yes, says the student. Thank you. The listening topic is very interesting for me. Now I know what to do to improve my listening. When you want to be good at listening, listen for 30 minutes every day. 3. Motivation to learn English. On Friday, we have an interesting conversation in our class. Our teacher asks, "What was your first reason to learn English? Do you remember the moment when you started to learn English? When did you start to be really interested in the language?" I say that I remember the moment when I started to be interested in English. My teacher says, "Can you tell us what happened?" I say, yes. First, I have to say that English wasn't always my favorite subject. I started to learn English at high school. At the beginning, it was very difficult for me. I didn't understand the structure of the language. It was illogical to me. I tried to remember words. I tried to learn grammar, but it was very hard. When I finished high school, I was still only a beginner. I couldn't speak English, and I believed that I would never learn this language properly. I simply believed that English wasn't for me. Then something happened. I always liked music, and when I was 20, I started to listen to the Beatles. I wanted to understand what they were singing, so I started to translate their songs slowly. I understood more and more. Then I met two ladies from England on a train. We had a simple conversation, but it helped me very much. I started to believe that I could learn English. From that moment on, I was working on my English almost every day, and I was getting better and better. Then I decided to go to England to improve my English here. My teacher thanks me for sharing my story and says, "Here is something very interesting about your story. There are two versions of you. The first, you didn't have motivation to learn English. The second, you had motivation, you wanted to understand songs. You can see that motivation is very important. When you have it, you can succeed. When you don't have it, it is very hard to be successful." Then our teacher asks everybody in the class about their motivation to learn English. The stories are very interesting. One girl's motivation is to read historical books in original English. One student wants to be a professional tennis coach in England. One woman needs English for her job at an international company. I can see that everybody has some kind of motivation to use English in real life or to get information from books. At the end of the lesson, our teacher asks if we like English. I say, "I didn't like English at my high school, but now I like it a lot. I can see how useful it is to know this language." Our teacher says, "This is another important factor. When you learn a new language, it is good when you like something connected to English, people, music, culture, or history. If you like English, it is easier to learn it. To communicate well, it's good to know 3,000 words or more. If you don't like English, It's harder to find time to practice enough to reach this level. I agree with my teacher. Now I like not only the Beatles but also my teacher and my boss, who is English. I also like English humor. Now it's much easier for me to find time to practice English every day. On Saturday, I go to play football for my school team. We have some very good players, and we win 3-2. We're all very happy and go to the pub after the match to celebrate our victory. When you want to learn English, you need to have motivation to use English every day. 4. How to learn 3,000 words. During the next lesson, one student asks, "You told us that it is good to know 3,000 words. Where can I find these 3,000 most important words to learn?" Our teacher replies, "You can Google a list of the 3,000 most frequent words in English, but such a list won't help much. When you learn words from a list, you learn them outside of context. You won't learn how these words connect with other words in sentences. This system only works well for basic words that describe things around us, like mother, father, apple, dog, cat, book, car, house, water, etc. These are words you can easily imagine. But for words like appreciate or suppose, this system doesn't work well. Many students start by using word lists and believe they can learn English this way. But after reaching about 1,000 words, you need a different approach. To learn higher-level words, you must learn them in whole sentences through context. The best way is through reading. For beginners, I recommend Robinson Crusoe in Simple English, available at www.robinsoncrusoe.com. There's an interesting rule. Every important word will keep reappearing in your life until you learn it, just like how we learned our native language as children. We didn't study from lists. Important words kept coming back until we understood them. For example, the verb Google is a new word in many languages. We learned it through use, not from lists. When you first heard Google, you probably didn't understand it. But after hearing it repeatedly in important contexts, you learned it. Forget about word lists. Learn new words through stories and daily use of English. Does it make sense? Yes, says the student. Thank you. After school, I go to my work. I already understand my job. Well, things are becoming automatic. I'm happy that I understand my customers, as our conversations are usually similar, mostly about coffee and sandwiches. My confidence is growing, and sometimes I have longer conversations with customers. 5. How to improve your accent. Then something interesting happens at work. 2 customers, a husband and wife, come to our cafe. The man speaks to me in English, but I don't understand him. I think he wants something we don't have, so I call my boss. She speaks with him and sells him 2 coffees and 2 regular sandwiches. After they leave, my boss explains that they were from Scotland and had a strong accent. The next day at school, I tell my teacher about this experience. I felt stupid for not understanding and doubted if my English was good enough. My teacher says, "This is completely normal. You're used to London English, but not Scottish accents. All you need is exposure. Listen to Scottish English through films or sitcoms. When you encounter a new accent, it typically takes about 2 weeks to adjust. There's nothing wrong with you with practice. You can train your ears to any accent." The next day at work, 2 foreign ladies with basic English come to our cafe. My boss adapts beautifully. She uses very simple sentences, 3 to 4 words, and they understand her perfectly. They buy coffee, sandwiches, and cakes and leave happy. My boss explains, "Sometimes I have to simplify my English. It doesn't matter if customers speak well or not. We must make them comfortable. If they feel understood, they'll keep coming back." Our cafe is always busy. proving she's a good businesswoman. English proficiency levels. The next day at school, we discuss English levels. 1,000 words, basic conversations with short sentences, 4 words. 2,000 words, can discuss daily life, family, hobbies, travel, most classmates level. 3,000 words, deeper conversations on many topics, recommended goal. The Japanese ladies probably knew about 1,000 words. When they returned with friends, I used simple sentences, and they understood me perfectly. They said they liked our cafe because people understand them there. When you want to communicate well in English, learn 3,000 words. 6. Overcoming shyness. On Thursday, a shy student asks for help. I'm very shy when speaking English. Can you help me overcome this? Our teacher responds, it's natural to feel shy when using a foreign language. I was the same when learning languages. I remember being afraid of mistakes. When I made one, I felt stupid and blushed. But now I focus on communication, not perfection. I'm learning Spanish now and sometimes still feel shy, but I don't let it stop me. Some students think knowing English means speaking like a native with perfect grammar and pronunciation. They feel embarrassed if they're not perfect. Don't be so hard on yourself. You're great because you already speak some English. You've gone from 0 to 2,000 words. Appreciate that progress. Another student adds, sometimes I want to say something but don't know the word, so I stop and feel stupid. Next time, I avoid speaking to prevent this situation. Our teacher advises, you must learn to describe words you don't know. For example, if you don't know key, say a small thing for opening doors. You do this naturally in your native language. Train the skill in English too. Practice thinking aloud daily to improve. Remember, you can only learn English by using English. It's okay to be shy, but don't let it stop you.